Today we continue to listen Silavanta Sutta according to the answers given by the Venerable Sariputta. In this sutta, the virtuous bhikkhu meditators should practice vipassana meditation to see the five aggregates of clinging as impermanence, as suffering, as non-self, etc. To understand the anatta nature of things, meditators need to break things down into elements, and they are different components. As long as you cannot break things into their constituent parts, you will always think of them as one compact things. But once you are able to analyze and break them into their various components, the notion of compactness and the notion of self or atta are gone. So in order to see anatta, it is very important that you break things down. You need to cut things to pieces. You need to analyze. You need to mindful very closely with concentrated mind. The Abhidhamma Pitaka is all about anatta. Although it does not say that it is anatta or that is anatta, it tells us that everything is anatta because everything is minutely analyzed. Mind is analyzed into consciousness and mental states. Then consciousness is analyzed into 120 types. And mental states are analyzed into 52 types. And so on. So everything is so minutely analyzed in order to show that there is no compactness, there is no core. The whole of Abhidhamma Pitaka is always pointing to the anatta nature of things, although we also learn many other things from it. Everything can be analyzed into components because nothing is compact, nothing is solid. Since there is no compactness in anything, there can be no core, there can be no atta, no self. When you practice vipassana meditation, you make notes of objects that appear at the present moment, and you see that at every moment the objects are different, and when you take mental state as objects, you know that there are many mental states, not just one compact mind. So you are able to break up mind into many components. You may not be able to name those components, but you see them and you understand them. It is more important to be able to break up objects into component states than it is to give names to them. During your practice of meditation, you see that your mind is not just one mind. At different moments, there is a different mind or different consciousness. One consciousness goes to an object, and another consciousness makes note of it. Then these two consciousness disappear, and another consciousness that is thinking of quite another things arises, and so forth. As you pay close attention to what is happening in your mind, you will see that what you thought to be one compact thing is actually composed of many small different mental states. Once you see mind as comprising these small mental states, you come to understand that there is no core in the mind. When you see there is no core in the mind, you see the anatta nature, you see the non-self nature of that mind. It is to see the three characteristics, impermanence, suffering, and non-self, that we practice vipassana meditation. You will see them only when you practice, not just by saying nature, dukkha, anatta again and again. We must practice. It can be understood only through our practice, not by repeating the words or just thinking about them. So if you want to see the three characteristics, you must practice vipassana diligently. When you practice vipassana, in the beginning, try to develop concentration in order to make your mind steady, still, and free from mental hindrances. When your mind is free from mental hindrances, concentration comes. Through concentration, you begin to see mind and matter clearly. You begin to see them separately. You begin to see two things occurring at the same time as a pair. The in-breath and mindfulness of in-breath, and the out-breath and mindfulness of the out-breath, the abdomen and mindfulness of the abdomen. So these things are seen separately, not mixed with one another. After seeing that, you will also see conditionality. You will see that because there is the breath, there is mindfulness of the breath. Because there is the intention to stretch, there is stretching and so on. And then you will see objects arise and disappear. When you see the objects arise and disappear, you see the impermanent nature of things. When you see the impermanent nature of things, you also see the dukkha nature, because when you see them arising and disappearing, you come to the understanding that they are bombarded and oppressed by arising and disappearing. Continuous oppression by arising and disappearing is what is meant by the word dukkha. And when you see the impermanent nature and suffering nature of mind and matter, you can also see the anatta nature, non-self nature. You see things arising and disappearing, which means there is no core in them. If there were core in them, they would last forever. They would be together and intact. But they are separate and continuously arising and disappearing. So there is no unifying core in them. Moreover, you cannot tell them to stop. You cannot tell them not to arise or not to disappear. There is no way you can exercise any authority over them. So here too, you are seeing the anatta nature of mind and matter. Through your practice of vipassana meditation, and through paying attention closely to the objects at the present moment, you can see anicca, dukkha, and anatta for yourself. Once you see these three characteristics for yourself, you don't have to base your faith on what other people say. Through your own experience, you can verify that the teaching of the Buddhas are correct. When you see this for yourself and come to this firm understanding, nobody can shake you away from this understanding. It becomes your very own property, your very own knowledge. It is to possess this knowledge that we practice vipassana meditation. Suppose you are practicing meditation and you see your body disintegrate into pieces, or you see your body disappear or something similar. Does that mean that you have seen anatta? Does that mean that you have seen non-self nature? The late Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw said, not yet. Because even though you see your body disintegrating, and it is a kind of anatta, you may still be thinking, it is I who see it. So with regard to the mental state, you have not yet seen the anatta nature. Only when you see both your mind and matter as arising and disappearing at every moment, can you say that you have seen the anatta nature. So you must understand that the real understanding of anatta nature comes only when you pay close attention to both mind and matter and see them as arising and disappearing, as being oppressed by arising and disappearing, and having no control over it, as having no call, and so on. Until then, if you see only your body disintegrating, you have seen only about few percent of anatta nature. So in this Silavanta Sutta, there are 11 aspects of the 5 aggregates. 11 aspects. Look at your paper, page number 2. Number 5, the answer is a virtuous bhikkhu should carefully attend to the 5 aggregates subject to clinging as impermanence, as suffering, as a disease, as tumor, as death, as misery, as affection, as alien, as dissolution, as empty, as non-self. So you need to remember, you need to see your body as impermanence. You need to see your body as suffering. You need to see your body and mind as disease. You need to see the 5 aggregates of clinging as tumor. You need to see the 5 aggregates of clinging as death, as misery, as affection, as alien, as dissolution, as empty, as non-self. Some meditators can see, but important is impermanence, suffering, and non-self. So one aspect to consider is lokato, dissolution or disintegration. Meditators should attend to the 5 aggregates as disintegrating or dissolving. There are 2 kinds of disintegration: moment to moment disintegration and disintegration at the end of our life. So we die moment to moment, but that dying, we don't care if we don't see, but final disintegration at the end of our life. So at the end of our life, we totally die. So because of this nature, disintegration, lokato. So 2 kinds of disintegration, 2 kinds of death. Can you follow me? There are 2 kinds of disintegration. There are 2 kinds of disintegration. Moment to moment disintegrating. Moment to moment disintegrating. Disintegration at the end of our life. Disintegration at the end of our life. So you should see the 5 aggregates of clinging as disintegrating moment by moment. Seeing this moment by moment disappearance, you can understand the last disintegration of what we call life. So everybody afraid of the last disintegration. Thus, disintegration of what we call life, disintegrating at the end of our life, and disintegrating during life at every moment are actually the same. So meditators should see the five aggregates of clinging as disintegrating. And when you see the impermanent nature of the aggregates, you see both the arising and disintegrating. Since you see the disintegrating, you are able to see the impermanent nature or the characteristics of impermanence as non-existence after having been. And the next aspect is Saunyato, that means emptiness. We should see the five aggregates of clinging as empty. Here, empty does not mean nothingness. In Theravada Buddhism, it means empty of self, empty of atta, empty of an abiding self, empty of abiding essence. So it means seeing as anatta, seeing as non-self. When you observe the five aggregates, you see only the five aggregates and nothing more that you can call as self or soul. At every moment of your noting, you understand that there is the object that is noted and find that note. So these two go as pairs at every moment, and there is nothing else but the object that is noted and the mind that notes. So you do not see anything that you can call a self or a soul. So in seeing this way, you are seeing correctly. So the 11 aspects can be accepted as an authentic teaching, as it is found in various other suttas taught by the Buddha himself. These 11 aspects can be condensed to only 3, or to condense impermanence and disintegration actually mean the same thing. It is nature, impermanence. Suffering, disease, chronic disease, and tumor, death, misery, affliction are all aspects of dukkha, suffering, and alien, empty, and non-self are attributes of anatta. So here again you meet the 3 characteristics, nature, dukkha, and anatta. Why the understanding is important? It is enough just to see the 5 aggregates of clinging as impermanence, suffering, and non-self. If you want to know more, you can go to the Visuddhimagga, which in describing Vipassana knowledge, there's 40 ways of observing the 5 aggregates of clinging of mind and matter. So what can we expect from seeing the 5 aggregates of clinging as impermanence, suffering, and non-self? According to Venerable Sariputra, when a virtuous bhikkhu meditates, carefully attend to thus to these five aggregates subject to clinging, it is possible that you may realize the fruits of string entering. This means when you see the five aggregates as impermanence, suffering and non-self, etc., it is possible that you will become a Sotapanna. So in order to become a Sotapanna, enlightened person, what do you have to do? You have to observe the five aggregates of clinging as impermanence, as suffering, and as non-self. Now you are practicing 10 days here. The intention is to be liberated, to see the true nature of mind and matter. So it is very important that when you are practicing Vipassana meditation, you see these three characteristics of the five aggregates of clinging that comprise mind and matter and all conditioned phenomena. When the characteristics are seen, you will begin to experience this passion towards the five aggregates. Seeing impermanence, suffering, and non-self means that you see the arising and disappearing of the five aggregates. When you see the arising and disappearing, especially the disappearing, you will come to realize that the five aggregates disappearing every moment are fearsome or dangerous. Since they are disintegrating or disappearing every moment, what happens if they should stop arising and disappearing? That means we die. That will come. That can come to us at any moment, which is the frightening things about the five aggregates. So when you see that the aggregates are dangerous, you find fault with them, but in finding fault in them, you become dispassionate towards these things. You are no longer attached to them, you no longer want them, you no longer want to possess them, so you turn away from them. This dispassionate attitude towards the five aggregates are very important, and it is called strong vipassana. Before that happens, your vipassana is called young vipassana or tender vipassana. At the stage of seeing the aggregates rising and falling, and seeing that they are fearsome, the meditator has not yet developed strong vipassana. Only when the stage of dispassion or disenchantment towards the five aggregates is reached, is it called strong vipassana. Strong vipassana will lead you to the attainment of your enlightenment, to the attainment of stream entry, Sotapanna. It is because when you become disenchanted with the five aggregates, you want to get rid of them, you want to throw them away, so you give more time and perseverance to your practice. And in time you will see the five aggregates of clinging as empty. But it is only when you see the five aggregates as impermanent, suffering, and non-self that the important stage of dispassion towards the aggregates can be reached. The phase of becoming dispassionate through seeing the three characteristics is vividly explained in an allegory about a man who tries to catch a fish. You can see in Visuddhimagga. Wanting to catch a fish, a man casts a net into the water. After some time, he thinks there is a fish in his net, so he plunks his hand into the water and takes hold of his catch. But when he lifts it up, he sees three identifying marks of the object and realizes that he is holding not a fish, but a poisonous snake. At such a moment, how did he feel? First, he would feel fear, because it is not a fish, but a poisonous snake that can kill with one bite. So that man is afraid and sees danger in it. When he sees the danger, he becomes dispassionate and no longer wants what he has got. He wants to turn away from it, to get free from it, to throw it away, and he be delivered from it. But first, he wants to do something to prevent it from biting him. So he takes a snake, swing it around his head 2 or 3 times, and throw it away with force. In the same way, on becoming dispassionate towards the five aggregates, we need to watch and observe the three characteristics again and again in order not to fall back under the influence of the five aggregates. So to avoid being beaten by failure to see the three characteristics, you dwell on them more frequently. Then a time will come when your mind rushes into the cessations of all conditioned phenomena. That rushing into what is unconditioned phenomena is what is meant by attaining enlightenment or taking nirvana as object. So the fish snake allegory is very pertinent. Until you see danger, you will not want to get away from something. Only when you see dangers or something false, do you want to escape from it. So first, you need to see the object, and then you need to see it. You need to see that that object is nothing to be attached to, because now you have seen that it is false, impermanence, and so on. Only when you see its untrue or transitory nature do you want to get away from something. It is why it is important that we must first see the three characteristics in order to reach the stage of dispassion towards the five aggregates. Here the Venerable Sariputta said, if a virtuous meditator see the five aggregates of clinging as impermanence and so on, there is the possibility that he may reach the stage of string entry and become a Sotapanna. So we have to stop our discourse for today. By practicing Vipassana meditation, by observing every five aggregates of clinging as impermanence, suffering and non-self, etc. May all yogis be liberated from all suffering. May all yogis realize the real peace in the very near future. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.